Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guests today are Chip Saltzman, Republican consultant, and Carol Andrews on the Democratic side. Carol, getting back to being the campaign manager, which you've done sometimes before, Chip talked about the manager's goal is to push the candidate to not necessarily agree with them all the time, but isn't the goal also to have communication so that they are at least know what's coming? Because my impression is, and this may have happened on both sides, particularly, say, on Clinton's side with the basket of deplorables. People, the surprises are maybe the worst things in politics.
Oh, absolutely. And more than management, I've done a lot of high-level communications directions, particularly on U.S. Senate races. And sometimes, you know, things just come out of their mouths, and you're like, where did that come from? But yes, more than that, you're right. It's just that back and forth communications all the time, whether it's management or communications direction or with the senior management team, and it's terrible when you are blindsided by something, or something comes up out of an Oppo research hit and you've never heard of that before because your own people didn't know about it. And it is a terrible, terrible sinking feeling, and I just can't imagine what Kellyanne Conway has been through. And but she's held her head up high. I've felt sorry for her a lot, and I don't know how, as a campaign manager, and particularly as a woman, how she's held on, unless she's just doing it for the money. But seriously, I'm told that she's a professional of the highest level, and that she always, in her own firm, had women all at the top level. And but with some of the things, well, with all of the things that he has said about women, I've been flummoxed as to why she's there and has stuck with him when these things come out of his mouth.
Chip, as we move towards the final days, everybody's looking at the polls, but maybe more important than that is to get out the vote effort. In that case, Trump has had to do it on the fly, do it with the RNC, but it still appears he's going to be perhaps behind, and that could be the difference in a lot of these battleground states.
You know, my conversation with him 6 months ago when I talked to him about was specifically the ground game and the key states, and you could tell that wasn't part of his real big wish list.
Like what?
Yeah, he did. That wasn't something that he was thinking about. But I will say this: something that we've seen in Tennessee, something we're seeing in other states, and this is going to be a little campaign wonky for us to discuss. 19% of the voters in Tennessee so far are what we call zeros or ones, which are people that haven't voted at all or only one time in the last four elections. There is a lot of new people coming to vote on this election. Now, I think some of them are coming to vote for a candidate. I think some of them are coming to vote against a candidate. But there's going to be almost 20% in Tennessee of voters that we haven't seen around in the last four elections.
Carol, as early voting becomes more and more popular, the campaigns kind of know where they stand. By the time they get to Election Day, they'll know a pretty good idea how much vote they've already got in the bank, so to speak.
Yes, I know that people are calling. I've had 3 calls from different places myself, and I keep saying, I've already voted. I went out the first day. You know, you can take me off your list now, but they're calling from different sources. So, but yeah, people know where the votes are being banked, and I'm sure the other side is doing it as well.
In terms of the polls, Chip, a lot of people say, well, maybe the polls are not correct this year. They vote to the Brexit votes in England,
yeah.
They vote in Colombia, but is the presidential race in America different because it's not really one vote, it's 50 different votes?
Yeah, it's 50 statewide races, right? And I will say this, I think there's still something that we saw in the primary as we took Governor Huckabee's campaign where we had won 9 states 8 years ago and won 0. They didn't want nice this time. They wanted some anger. They wanted some of that. I still think there is an underlying anger with the American people of all things Washington, which is a lot like the Brexit vote. I think you're going to underpoll that anger. I will give credit to the Clinton campaign, very little, but I'll give some credit to the Clinton campaign. They have taken a 30-year incumbent and tried to make her the outsider. And obviously, I don't think it's going to be successful, but that was a tough sell. But they've done a pretty decent job with that, running against a complete outsider.
Carol, Mrs. Clinton has tried to expand the race, go into other states that have normally been Republican. She's also been out actually campaigning for a lot of the Senate candidates. So the Democrats going to take back the Senate, and what are their chances at all in the House?
I think they have a slim chance of taking the Senate back, or at least, making maybe, I don't know, 51, 49, something like that. But I don't think they'll take the House. I think they'll take some seats.
Chip, on the Republican side, you've got the problems with Paul Ryan, the disagreements he's had with Trump. Is he going to have trouble getting reelected Speaker if he has a narrower margin and he's got divisions in his own party?
You're going to hear a little bit that on cable news in the next week or two, but no. We're going to lose 20 seats-ish. We'll still have a majority. I think in the Senate, I believe in my friend Ward Baker, who's running the Senate campaign, is going to keep the Senate for us. But watch Missouri on election night. I think that'll be the bellwether Senate race.
Are we headed for just 4 more years of gridlock? Even if the Democrats take back control of the Senate, they won't have 60 votes. The margins in the House will be smaller. It sounds like 4 more years of gridlock, almost no matter who's elected president.
Well, and I think that's what's great about our government is gridlock slows things down, makes people be very, very thoughtful in what they do. I do think that you've got a Speaker of the House that wants to get things done. He wants tax reform, major tax reform. I think he's willing to work with the opposing administration, if that tends to be it, to try to get something big done as his speakership.
Carol, how do we reunite the nation? Is that possible after this? And what's the role not only of the president-elect, but of the person who's defeated in this race?
Well, the person who I think is going to be defeated in this race has, he has stirred up a section of his country and stirred up the anger, the underlying anger, I think, that was already there, and brought it to the forefront in such a way that it's dangerous. And I would hope that he would graciously go out if that's what happens.
Carol, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. A lot of great insights today, Chip. Thank you as well for being in. And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.